The Turkish Grand Prix swung wildly in favour of many different drivers throughout the race. Initially, it seemed like the Racing Point drivers would run away with the historic 1-2, but Red Bull's Max Verstappen was then able to find pace and quickly close the gap down to second place Sergio Perez. By this point, race leader Lance Stroll had also become slower, and Max had the pace to win the race had he been able to overtake Perez and Stroll. However, an impatient moment would see him spin out, and any hopes of a recovery would be dashed when he would spin out for a second time while fighting through the field. He would finish in 6th place on a weekend where he was heavily favoured to win. This has now attracted some criticism from the likes of former world champion Jacques Villeneuve and Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko while they spoke to the Italian and Dutch channels of Sky respectively. I'm your host Dylan Shelley, and first up on Formula World, Verstappen garners criticism for missed opportunity. Villeneuve began by pointing out how Max suddenly seemed to have lost his maturity. Verstappen seemed to have become calmer and more mature for a few years now. He drives like a champion. Yesterday, however, we saw the Max Verstappen of his debut season again. He further elaborated on this, while also including Ferrari Charles Leclerc. He was far too aggressive and made the same mistakes he made in his early years in Formula 1. Both he and Charles Leclerc were too aggressive and especially too eager. They pushed too much at the wrong moments. Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko is usually someone who defends Max's actions. However, he too admitted that his mistakes were too consequential. Max only saw Stroll run away, and that's frustrating of course because you couldn't catch up well without DRS. He also just should have been more patient with Perez. His mistakes are costly, but he drove well until the first pit stop. Fast feed. Racing Point Sergio Perez feels that he has to be delivering weekend after weekend as he is only as good as his last race. He also thinks that it's important to finish on a high, while admitting the rest is not in his hands. Newly crowned world champion Lewis Hamilton saw people even like Max Verstappen, who is great in the wet, spin and lose control and have to do extra stops, which he feels emphasised how difficult the conditions were in Turkey. Ferrari team principal Mattia Binotto has stated that they knew under those circumstances it would be a race for those who would make the least mistakes. He also thinks they did a great job as a team, especially with regards to strategy and by making bold choices at the right time. Honda F1 boss Toyoharu Tanabe thinks that it was quite disappointing that the Red Bull duo only managed to finish 6th and 7th. He added that they could see over the weekend that they had the speed to do better. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner echoed this sentiment by saying that 6th and 7th are disappointing positions to end their 300th race at a weekend that held so much promise. His driver Alex Albon, meanwhile, is a bit confused by the Turkish Grand Prix as he thought that they would win. Ola Kalenius, chairman of Daimler and Mercedes, feels that their driver Lewis Hamilton's 7th World Championship is a great achievement. He also reaffirmed that as a team and a company they stand behind him. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff added to that by saying that the team is 100% behind Hamilton, who is 100% behind the team. Ferrari Sebastian Vettel has stated that the 3rd place trophy from Turkey is a nice trophy, but it was hard to get it. Max Verstappen has guessed that Lewis Hamilton is now the greatest driver in Formula 1 ever, in terms of stats anyway. And he also admitted that on a personal level, it was a race to forget. Was Verstappen's racing too aggressive in Turkey? Head over to my community page to vote in the poll and let me know what you think in the comments. And if you like this video, feel free to subscribe and check out my others for all the latest in the world of Formula 1.